Hey guys, welcome to NASR. I'm Billy D. Been a while. Saturday, May 2nd, 10 after 4 here in New England. And yes, it's May 2nd in New England, and I still woke up this morning and it was 43 degrees. Just, can't suck enough. Anyway, at least the sun's out. It's been a while since I've seen you guys now. Part of the reason is my job is lately just ridiculously time consuming, so I apologize. I haven't seen you guys in almost 2 weeks. And again, gotta make the bacon, gotta pay the bills. But boy, we have so much to catch up on. So much to catch up on in the NHL and the NBA playoffs and the NFL draft. So when I gave you my picks in the NFL draft, I don't know if you guys noticed, but probably 15 of of the first 32 picks I nailed. Obviously, we all knew Mendoza was going to the Raiders. We knew that the Jets were grabbing the Rushan Bailey. I knew Arvell Reese would go early. I knew the Giants would get a Rushan and an offensive lineman, and they did grab Arvell Reese and my brother Maui Noah from the U, which, listen, I know a lot of Giant fans are freaking out that they didn't get Caleb Downs, and Caleb Downs is a generational player. I get it, but you got a stud offensive lineman who's going to be like Zach Martin for you for the next 10 years, and Reese is a dog. The Giants did good in the draft, so Giant fans, you got your quarterback. You added some more weapons. You grabbed the wide receiver from Notre Dame. You got a big linchpin on the offensive line. You got another great player on defense. The New York Giants are making the playoffs this year. As far as the Cowboys go, they got the best player in the draft, Caleb Downs. So, wasn't crazy about reaching for Lawrence from UCF. And Lawrence is very athletic. He dazzled in the combine and all the athletic, the high jump and what he bench pressed and his, wingspan, arm span, whatever the hell. But the film states that you're playing UCF, you're not playing top tier competition like somebody like Ruben Bain. But could be good. I like that Dallas grabbed a corner from Florida. The Cowboys, I give them a B+ on their draft. I give them a B+. They got a Rushan from Michigan. They got Lawrence from UCF. They got Downs. They got a corner. They addressed all the defensive. Now, I would have liked to see them grab Keontae Scott from the Canes, which the Buccaneers grabbed. But they got a good corner from the University of Florida. They got 2 defensive ends. They got Downs. So they got Downs. They got the corner from the Gators. They got a defensive end from Michigan. And they've got Lawrence from UCF. And the kid from Michigan, his name's escaping me at the moment, but we're going to do a draft show. Today's more about hockey and basketball. But the kid from Michigan was a top-tier guy, but he had some off-the-field issues. You know what? We'll get his name right now. You know what? I will say this. I know we covered this, and I don't like to get dirty, but the Diane Rossini thing, it's gathered some legs. Vrabel's going to counseling, and it's really sad. He's not going to lose his job with the Patriots, but Diane Rossini's ruined. Now they're saying that they were together for 6 years. She has a son named Michael. You name your son after your side pieces. You name your son after the guy who you're having an affair with. Diane Rossini's got a lot of questions to answer. She has got a lot of questions to answer. Downs for the Cowboys, obviously stud, Ohio State. Lawrence, we talked about, the edge rusher from UCF. Jay-Sean Barham was the edge rusher from Michigan, linebacker, who has some off-the-field issues. But hey, you know what? He would have gone higher than the 3rd round, so might be a steal for the Cowboys. Drew Shelton, offensive tackle, Penn State, the aforementioned Devin Moore, corner from Florida. Excellent pick. The Cowboys, they did a nice job. I might have to take my B+ to an A-. Lawrence is a little bit of a reach. He's very, very athletic. But listen, when you're UCF, you're not playing the top-tier talent. So, he's going to need some coaching up. We're going to do a bigger draft show, but high grades for the locals. I already went over the Giants, the Jets too, getting David Bailey as the edge rusher. You got Cooper, the wide receiver from Indiana. The Jets had a great draft. They got the best tight end in the draft, a kid from Oregon. I mean, the New York Jets' first 3 picks were gold. Solid gold. The Jets did a great job in the draft. They got a whole mess of great players. Granted, you're still probably waiting till next year to get your quarterback, and it's going to be a QB-rich draft in 2027. For my Florida fam, I thought both the Bucs and the Dolphins had great drafts. Obviously, the big scuttlebutt is the Miami Dolphins drafted the kid Proctor from Alabama, the giant mammoth offensive tackle with big upside. But again, some off-the-field questions when they could have just drafted hometown boy Ruben Bain. So lots of people freaked out over that. Freaked out. The GM was getting killed. But you know what? I love their next pick, Chris Johnson from San Diego State. I love linebacker Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. I love the wide receivers Caleb Douglas from Texas Tech and Chris Bell from Louisville. The tight end Wilkes Merrick from Ohio State. I thought the Dolphins, who needed a lot of players, did a great job. You're going to kill them about their first pick, but if Proctor becomes a beast, you're all going to have to shut up. I thought the Dolphins had a ton of draft picks, and I thought they did a good job. I thought the Buccaneers did a great job for my Florida fam. Getting Ruben Bain's going to be a beast. I don't care what they said about his arm length was short. That's a bunch of bullshit. Ruben Bain is a dog. Did you see him when he was drafted? You see how they were all supposed to walk up, grab their hat and pose in the mirror and the picture? Bain grabbed his hat, blew that off. He walked right up, hugged Goodell, didn't even get his hair done. He didn't give a shit. He was wearing a nice suit. Bain's ready to ball. They got Bain. Then they got the linebacker from Missouri, Josiah Trotter, who's another dog. They ended up getting Keontae Scott in the 4th round, who is a dog to play slot, to play outside at corner. He could even play safety if you need him. They got the wide receiver Ted Hirsch from Georgia State. Went under the radar because he's played in a D2 school, but he ran the 40 at 4.25 in the combine. So the Bucs did a great job. The Florida teams did a great job. The local teams here in New England, Giants, Jets. I'm not really up on the Pats. And of course the National Dallas Cowboys. I thought the Raiders did a great job. They had so many free agent signings. And they got their guy Mendoza, and they got their coach. So we'll do more in-depth NFL stuff, but right now we got to get to the NBA and the NHL. I give the Cowboys an A-. I give the Buccaneers an A. I give the Dolphins a B in their draft grades. I give the New York Jets an A. The Patriots, they went out and got some offensive line help for for Drake May, their franchise quarterback, which they needed to do. Obviously, Mike Vrabel hasn't been talking because he's under scrutiny for his affair with Diane Rossini. But also, there's going to be a trade coming down, and I'm telling you, they're going to get Brown from the Eagles. He's going to go to the Patriots, so they're going to get a big-time wide receiver too. So, anyway, we'll go more in depth. We'll go more in depth with the NFL, but that's my notes from the draft. A.J. Brown is going to be a Patriot. That is the scuttlebutt. A.J. Brown's going to be a Patriot. Of course, the Eagles went out and got Wicks from the Packers. Then they drafted the kid Lemon from USC. Eagles, again, did a great job. So, all right, that's our NFL draft coverage. Now, NHL playoffs. And again, guys, I apologize. It's been almost 2 weeks since I've done a show. Again, real life gets in the way. I have a lot of stuff going on at work. I have a budding business that I've worked in for 37 years that we are restructuring, and also I could be moving to South Florida very soon. So I've got a lot going on, and it's been taking up my time, and I haven't been able to be with you guys, and I apologize for that. Okay, so last night, well, I mean, geez, we got to go back a little further. So in the NHL playoffs, so some series have concluded. The Carolina Hurricanes ended up sweeping the Ottawa Senators. I did give you Carolina in 5. And listen, the Canes with Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, fantastic. Anderson has, the guy you were worried about, he has played stellar in goal. Brady Tkachuk and the Senators, they were in a lot of the games. A lot of the games were 1-goal games. But the Canes do sweep, and they've had quite a bit of time off now. We have Game 7 coming up tomorrow in the Lightning Montreal Canadiens series, which has been one of the best series. Now, listen, the Canadiens had so many golden chances. Up 3-2 at home in Montreal. So many golden chances to close out the Tampa Bay Lightning, who, if you guys remember, I picked the Lightning in 7. And the Lightning are my pick to go to the Stanley Cup. If you guys follow me, now, in October, when the season started, I picked the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Las Vegas, or the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Finals. That was the beginning of the season. And the reason why I did that was I knew the Panthers had a couple of big players out starting the season with injury, and of course we never knew that they'd be the most injury-plagued team in NHL history this year, which is the only reason why they're not in the dance. But I did pick Tampa because of that, and I picked Vegas. Now, of course, knowing what I know now, gun to my head, I'd probably say Tampa, Colorado. But of course, I wasn't looking too smart because it looked like the Lightning were going to get knocked off last night. Montreal was just on fire. They're at home. They have a chance to close it out. The place is going crazy. The Bell Center, if you have ever been to the Bell Center, which I have, I've seen a few games, more than a few games at the Bell Center in Montreal, and it is just electric. And Andrei Vasilevsky, who to me is the best goalie in hockey, you can take him, Bobrovsky, Shesterkin from the Rangers. They're in the top 5. He played stellar, and he kept the Lightning in the game. And obviously, Goncalves wins it in overtime for the Lightning as they advance to Game 7 at home. They win the game 1-0. I mean, each team had like 30-some-odd shots. Each goalie played fantastic. Dobis, who was a young kid who took the job at the end of the season, has been great for Montreal. But there's nobody better than Vasilevsky, and he kept the Lightning in the game until they found their game. About halfway through the second, through third, and overtime, the Lightning were playing great hockey, but they struggled early, and they could have easily been down 3-0 if not for Vasilevsky. And Goncalves wins it in overtime, 1-0. This has been probably the best series in the playoffs. The best series in the playoffs. So, on Sunday, 6 p.m., we will have Game 7. Game 7, Tampa Bay, Montreal. Now, listen, I said to you guys, I gave you guys reasons why I loved the Lightning when the playoffs started. Now, as they got smacked around by the Florida Panthers the last couple of years, one thing, they had some guys that were really green, and, kids like Goncalves and, Gergensen, and you know what? I told you guys earlier in the playoffs, these kids now have come of age. And their third and fourth line guys who did not have the experience now have the experience. Then they add a guy like Bjorkstrand, and, Paul's been there for a while. Gord's a veteran, and their third and fourth line guys, they could smack you in the mouth, but they could also put the puck in the net. And that's one thing they weren't doing a couple of years ago. They're doing it now. I do quite listen. Desto was a fine from the AHL. They get McDonough back. Their defense, Radish is now, and Mosher have become great players. They weren't that 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And the Lightning, I still think if they win Game 7, they will go right to the finals. Anyway, and also I love Brandon. I love me some Brandon Hagel. Brandon Hagel is a beast. He'll punch you in the mouth, he'll fight, he'll scrap, and he scores goals. And we all know about the points and the Kucherovs of the world and how skilled the Lightning are. But listen, Montreal is a young team on the rise. You're going to hear from Montreal for years to come. They may be a little bit ahead of schedule, but this has been a fantastic series. Fantastic series. So Goncalves, the game winner last night, 1-0 in overtime, and we are going to Game 7 on Sunday. Okay, tonight we have the Flyers, who defeated the Penguins in 6 games, 4 games to 2, and they will face off at Carolina against the Hurricanes now, who have been off for a while because they swept through Ottawa. And the Flyers now, listen, I did pick the Flyers. So if you guys have been following me, I picked the Flyers in 6 games over the Penguins, if you watched my playoff preview show. And I also gave you the Minnesota Wild over the Dallas Stars. I said in 7, it only went 6. The Minnesota Wild with some U.S. stars, Matt Boldy and Quinn Hughes, also Kaprizov and the Russian and Eriksson Ek, the Swede. Excellent series by Minnesota. I thought they would win it all the way. No Rupe Hintz for the Stars. Obviously no Seguin. I don't know how much that was a big deal. But Minnesota was the better team for the majority of the series. They win in 6. I gave you that one. I gave you the Flyers over the Penguins. I gave you the Carolina Hurricanes over Ottawa in 5. They won it in 4. I did give you Edmonton over Anaheim in 6. Obviously, they're out of here in 6. Congratulations to the Anaheim Ducks. I got that one wrong. That's the only one I got wrong. I gave you the Sabres over the Bruins in 6, and I nailed that right on the head. Last night I did have myself on DraftKings. I had the Buffalo Sabres and the Tampa Bay Lightning last night, and 20 times each one, and I enjoyed that. I was going to lay a wager on the Golden Knights, who I also gave you over Utah in 7. They took care of it in 6. John Tortorella takes over the Vegas Golden Knights, and in the 13 games he has coached from the regular season to the playoffs, the Knights are 11-2 since Tortorella got on board. Carter Hart, we know he had some off-ice issues with the whole sex scandal after Canadian Juniors. He got plucked from the Flyers, had to step down from hockey while he was on trial with a bunch of other players from that Canadian Junior team, and they were all found not guilty. Carter Hart resumes his career. He gets signed by Vegas, and now he is the go-to. He is the starting goalie. He is the starting goalie, and you know Vegas. The goal. 1 second here. I'm getting some messages coming in here. So guys, if you want to contact me and get on the air, you can call 203-451-3379. That's 203-451-3379. You can get right on the air with me and talk any type of sports you want to talk about. You can also get on Facebook Live on the chat. You can also get on the YouTube chat. So please feel free, send me messages. I thought I had a riveting message coming in, but it was just one of my listeners saying, Buffalo Sabres effing rule. Hey, Sabres have not won a series since 2007. It's been 19 years since the Buffalo Sabres won a playoff series. It's been 14 years since they were in the playoffs. Congratulations to the Sabres. It was a great series. You know, the Bruins did force a Game 6 on Pasternak's overtime goal in Game 5. But, you know, listen, the Sabres made the switch to line and net and they went from Lucan into Lion, and it worked out. Obviously, you know, the Sabres have been a great story with Rasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch. And listen, you gotta be rooting for the Buffalo Sabres. It's so long for the city of Buffalo and upstate New York to have anything go their way. So the Sabres defeat the Bruins 4-2. They move on. The Golden Knights defeat the Utah Mammoth 4-2. As we were talking about, Carter Hart, who has assumed the starting job. You got a Stanley Cup winning goalie in Adin Hill right there. Carter Hart usurps Adin Hill. And, you know, Mark Stone, the captain, leads the way. Brett Howden and Shea Theodore. But also, how about Mitch Marner? Mitch Marner last night in the deciding game has 2 goals and an assist, a 3-point night, and the Maple Leaf fans who shit all over this guy, well, he looks like he's playing pretty good in the playoffs now, isn't he? Isn't he? Mitch Marner is looking pretty good. So congratulations to the Golden Knights. They dispersed of the Utah Mammoth, who were very game. Listen, the Mammoth lost a couple games in OT. I think they were in it. This could have easily flip-flopped the other way and been 4-2 Utah. Clayton Keller and company, they played a great series, and the crowds were great in Utah. They got to fix that arena, though. There's too many blind spots. That's a basketball arena. But congratulations to the Golden Knights and John Tortorella, 11-2 in his 13 games since becoming head coach. So the Golden Knights advance to the next round. The Sabres advance to the next round, both in 6. We have a Game 7 on Sunday, 6 in the evening, for the Lightning and the Canadiens. Minnesota Wild have dispersed of the Dallas Stars in 6 games, 4-2. We went over that. The Anaheim Ducks have dispersed of the Edmonton Oilers, 4-2. We went over that. Congratulations to the Ducks. They've been a great story. You know, if you're the Rangers, you got rid of, Kreider and Jacob Trouba, and look at how good they're playing for the Ducks. Of course, the Ducks have Leo Carlson and the great rookie Seneca and their goalie Dostal. The Ducks are a great story. And listen, I don't expect the Ducks to go much further than the next round. I don't have the matchups for the next round yet because the first round is not final. We do know that the Flyers will play Carolina tomorrow. Let's take a look. I'm sorry, tonight. What am I talking about? Tonight, 8 p.m. tonight, the Flyers and Hurricanes. That's the first game of the second round. The first game of the second round. Sunday at 6 in the evening, we have the Canadiens and the aforementioned Lightning in Game 7. That is must-see TV. Then we have the Wild, who will play the Avalanche. So the Minnesota Wild and the Colorado Avalanche. And the Avalanche, they've dispersed of the LA Kings in a sweep. And they've been off for a while. And we know the Avalanche are amazing. And, they're just loaded. McKinnon and Brock Nelson and Landeskog and Blackwood in net and Wedgwood. They have 2 great goalies. Listen. I like Colorado. I know I picked the Vegas Golden Knights at the beginning of the season, and so I should probably stick with that, because in October, I gave you the Lightning and the Vegas Golden Knights, and they're both still alive. But gun to my head right now at the start of the playoffs, I would pick Tampa and Colorado. But, Carolina's going to have something to say about in the Eastern Conference. The Avalanche have been great. My concern about the Avalanche is they've been off for a while, and it's the same thing that I have concerns with Carolina, because Carolina has been off for a while, and listen, Cale Makar, Devon Toews on defense. Listen, you got to feel confident with the overall skill and veteran leadership in the room that the Avalanche will be ready to go, and I am picking Carolina tonight. So tonight, I am giving you a couple of picks. I am moneyline parlay, Boston Celtics, Carolina Hurricanes. Both those teams are like, if you play a money line, they're like minus 230, minus 250. But if you put them together, they're only minus 110. So I am taking Carolina Hurricanes and Boston Celtics in a money line parlay. And I like the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm betting them separate on the money line. Those two picks, I love those two picks tonight. I think Carolina's going to get things off to a good start. They're going to beat the Flyers in game one. Now the Flyers and the Penguins. That series was a great series. It looked like it was just going to be a sweep. I mean, Philly was up 3-0. I give the Penguins credit. They looked dead in the water, and they showed a lot of nuts winning games 4 and 5, and they were one goal away from taking that sucker back to Pittsburgh for game 7. Obviously, we know that the Flyers won 1-0 and won the game in game 6. And you know what? What's the defenseman who won? Come on, help me out here on the chat here. I just can't remember his name. Who's the defenseman that had the game-winning goal? Who is the defenseman that had the game-winning goal in overtime? All right, I'm going to get it for you. Bad job by me. I just watched the damn game, and I watched the highlights because, I brush up on my statistics before Cam York. Cam York had the game winner with only a couple minutes left in the first overtime of game 6. And listen, Arturas Shilovs, benching Skinner was the best move the Penguins could have made because when Shilovs took over, they started winning games. And listen, the Penguins with Malkin, and Crosby was never healthy in this series. He was never healthy. Malkin played his ass off, okay? Malkin played his ass off. Letang played his ass off. Some of their young guys, Chinnikov and Kindell, who had been, so big in getting the Penguins to the playoffs. No one expected the Pittsburgh Penguins to make the playoffs, but they had some young guys that they picked up that played great. Kindell's only 18 years old. Chinnikov they picked up off the scrap heap, but he's only 25, and he played great. But when they switched from Skinner to Shilovs gave them a boost, and he played great. The one goal that he gave up in overtime, he was screened. He didn't see it. He played fantastic. He stopped 31 out of 32 shots. But you know what? Dan Vladar, the youngster for the Flyers, was even better. He stopped 37 shots. 37 of 37. Young players like Travis Sigurdsson, Mikov, and Porter Martone for the Flyers. They give the Flyers hope for the future. They've got some great young players. Vladar was fantastic. The Flyers have a good mix of vets and young studs for the future. And the Flyers play physical Philadelphia Flyers hockey. They were a little more physical than the Penguins. I give the Penguins credit, though, for showing big balls winning games 4 and 5. And they were one goal away from taking this sucker back to Pittsburgh for game 7. A good season, Penguin fans. You weren't even supposed to be in the dance. So you should hold your head up high. I don't know where the Penguins are going again. Crosby and Malkin and Rust, and you got some old guys on the team. You got to figure out Letang. You got to figure out where you're going. Go with the youth movement. I mean, you weren't supposed to make the playoffs this year. I love what the Flyers are doing. I do think the Flyers will meet their end in the next round, but I think they'll win a couple of games. I like Carolina in 6. I like Carolina tonight to win. Again, tomorrow we'll have the Wild and the Avalanche getting their Western Conference Series in the second round underway, and that game tomorrow is at 9 p.m. At 6 p.m. we have the Canadiens and the Lightning in what's going to be just an awesome Game 7. I can't wait for this. Okay, so that gets us up to date in the NHL. Okay, a couple of chat things. Karen. My God, you guys got to stop with this. I get messages all the time when I do these shows. You guys know I'm a musician. I always get messages from people asking me when I'm coming back to playing, when's my album coming out. For those of you guys that know me, that I've been a national touring musician. I've recorded 6 albums in my career. 5 of them were still in print. With Wild America, well, the 3rd Wild America album is about to come out. That will be the 6th album I recorded. I also was a guitar player for a Van Halen Led Zeppelin touring tribute called Stairway to Halen, and that's where most of you guys on social media know me as. Everybody that knows me always knows I've loved sports. It's been my number one thing. Everybody knows that I used to play hockey. I used to coach hockey at high levels, semi-pro, professional inline hockey. I've done a lot in sports. It's always been my first love. But I always see these damn chat and Insta messages with people asking me when I'm strapping a guitar on or when I'm coming to see their band. I'm not coming to see your band. Okay, I'm not. I work 62 hours a week. I haven't even been on with you guys here doing the podcast in 2 weeks. My wife and I have a gal that when I was touring the country numerous times, she would run the family business, waiting for me to come home off the road. When you have a lovely gal that does that for you, when your better half does that for you, you do not then come home and go, hey, let's go hang out at a club and see some bands. We don't do that shit. Our private time is with family, our grandchildren, our kids, going out to dinners and watching ball games, because that's what me and my wife would prefer to do, is go to games. We like sports. We like to be involved. We love the beach. We love the sun. We love to be by the pool, at the beach. We're not going to see your band at the local club. I'm sorry if it offends anybody. If I ever have the free time and I have some family members, close friends that are playing, I'll go see you. But yeah, not happening. And I have no plans on stepping on a stage until my business is realigned and possible move from Connecticut to Florida. It's not possible. We'll just rip the Band-Aid off. Within 12 to 18 months, I will no longer be here in New England. I'll be coming at you from Florida. That's where we'll be located and stationed. We are currently in the process of orchestrating a move to South Florida, my family and I, and that's what we're doing. So that's where we're at. We're kind of reconstructing the business to suit that and figuring out what we're going to do with that, but it's all good because it's all good stuff. It's going to be good. We got enough assets and equity in our business endeavors. It's going to make our life good. We're going to get the hell out of this miserable state of Connecticut where the taxes are through the roof. The weather sucks. It's like 7.5 months of shit weather. You're freezing. It's gray. I'm looking out the window. It's another gray day in Connecticut. The official state color in Connecticut, I mean, it's blue because it's liberal hell, but it should be gray because the skies seemingly are gray here every day. But, I mean, I have a great life, and I've had a great life living here, and I have no regrets, no complaints, but we're moving onward and upward. Okay, so please stop sending me messages asking me when I'm playing music again. Karen, okay? Please, stop. Okay, so tonight, NBA. Does anybody have any sports questions? Again, 203-451-3379. We had the one guy that said the Sabres effing rule, and somebody asking me when I'm playing music again. And also, catch me on the chat or Facebook Live. All right, so we have Game 7 tonight, 7:30. Sixers, Celtics. I am shocked that this series went 7 games. Shocked. Kudos to Tyrese Maxey, who's been balls out. He's played great. So has Paul George. I did not expect this to go 7. I thought that the Celtics would make short work of the Sixers in 5. But we have Game 7 tonight, 7:30 p.m. Other NBA news. The Pistons, who were down 3-1, have rallied back to tie the series. The Pistons were down 24 points last night before the Orlando Magic missed 23 straight shots. I do not think I have ever seen a team miss 23 straight shots. Cunningham was the big dog for the Pistons, their star. He had 32 points. Harris had 22. And the Pistons, who looked dead in the water, have now forced a Game 7 in that series. The Raptors also forced a Game 7 with an overtime victory over Cleveland, 112-110. The Raptors now will play Game 7 in Cleveland. That game will be on Sunday. The Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, who, listen, going into the playoffs with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves out. Now, the Lakers normally would have been favored over the Rockets. But with those guys out, you figured that they were kind of screwed. Kudos to LeBron. He played like a young man. That 41-year-old dude played like a young man. Now, you guys know I'm not the biggest LeBron fan, but you got to give him his flowers because the Lakers dispersed of the Rockets, kicking their ass last night in Houston, 98-78, whooping them by 20 points. The Lakers win the series 4-2. Austin Reeves did come back the last 2 games. He played like shit in Game 5, but he played good last night, and LeBron was fantastic the entire series. Of course, Kevin Durant for the Rockets. He missed most of the series, nursing some injury. The Rockets have a good young team. They also have Harden. But listen, without Durant, wasn't quite enough. You would think that they were licking their chops with no Doncic and no Reed, but LeBron plays a great series. The Lakers advance in 6 games on to the next round. The Lakers will play OKC, who have been, resting after their sweep of the Suns. So, going to be a tough task. SGA and the Oklahoma City Thunder await the Lakers. So, we have a Game 7 in the Raptors-Cavs. We have a Game 7 Orlando and Detroit. What else we got? The Knicks destroy the Atlanta Hawks, and they advance. They beat the Hawks by 51 in Game 6. Listen, Brunson's been great, and OG's been great, Anunoby. But the key for the Knicks finally figured out if they went down low to Towns or Anunoby, the Hawks had no answer for it. So the Knicks, they were shitting on Coach Brown, Thibodeau, we should have never got rid of him. But he looked pretty good because the Knicks played up to their standards and whooped the ass that they were supposed to be whooping. Everybody thought they'd whoop Atlanta's tail, but tied at 2, wasn't looking so good. The Knicks were down 2-1, so wasn't looking too good. But now you got to throw the Knicks some flowers. They advance to the second round, defeating the Hawks in 6. The Nuggets are done. The Timberwolves disperse of the Denver Nuggets. Bad job by the Nuggets, as the Timberwolves are missing 2 backcourt guys, including Ant Edwards, their best player. They're missing 2 guys, even though it was a 3-1 series. The Nuggets win Game 5. I thought the Nuggets might roll right back and win the series because the Timberwolves are missing 2 star players. But the T-Wolves win and send the Nuggets home in Game 6, 110-98. So the T-Wolves win that series. The Knicks win their series. We told you about the 2 Game 7s. We told you about OKC sweeping Phoenix. We also San Antonio dispersed of Portland. We told you about the Cavaliers and Raptors in a Game 7. So we got 2 Game 7s, Pistons Magic, Raptors Cavs. The Lakers have moved on. OKC has moved on. The Knicks has moved on. Obviously, we also have a third Game 7. We've got the Celtics and the Sixers. That's tonight. You can hear my dogs barking in the distance. I think it's dinner time for doggies. Also, the Timberwolves have moved on in the West. Okay, guys. Well, we covered a lot. We had a long show tonight. I haven't been with you in a while. We had to cover some NFL draft. We went over the NBA and NHL playoffs. We're not going to touch on MLB just yet. The Yankees have been red hot rolling. Wait till they get Cole back. The Mets have been a disgrace. I don't know how Carlos Mendoza has a job. The Mets at one point had lost 10 or 11 games in a row. The Mets are a disgrace. I don't know how this guy hasn't been fired yet. Obviously, you hear my doggies barking. Obviously, the Mets have been dealing with injuries too. We'll get to more baseball. My name is Billy D. Please subscribe to North American Sports Report. Also follow Billy DiNapoli on Instagram and Facebook. We go live and we then post later. Instagram will get shorts. We'll post shorts on Instagram, and we post sports news on Instagram and X. We do our show live from the Billy DiNapoli Facebook page. You can also follow us on the North American Sports Report Facebook page because the show airs taped and pre-recorded on there, and obviously our YouTube page, North American Sports Report. Please subscribe. My name is Billy DiNapoli. I will catch you guys. Jeez, I don't know when I'm going to catch you guys. The shows have been sporadic. If you follow, please select the notification so you get the notification every time I come on. My name is Billy DiNapoli. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.